back here, so if you want to, before you go, you can snap a picture of it or write them down. But as we think about social media tonight, consider these questions that you would answer for your own business or whatever business you're working for in terms of social media. First question you want to ask, major question, is what social channels are my target audiences on, not just what social media channels are people on in general right now, but my target audiences, the people that I want to reach, or the beachhead audiences that I want to reach right now, most importantly. Secondary questions to this is, what are they doing, saying, posting, sharing on those channels? And who or what are they influenced by, your target audiences, right? So that question is going to be answered differently for every single kind of business. It's why it's important that you need to tailor your social media strategy around these types of things. Second, and the first question kind of leads you to the second, and that is, what channel should I or should my brand be active on, and why? And often it's answered through these questions. Secondary to that, what will I post? What types of things am I going to write about or share? And then how will I differentiate my presence on these channels? How am I going to, if I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, how is my LinkedIn presence going to differ from my Facebook presence? Or put another way, why should someone follow me on both, right? Am I just dishing in the same exact content, or am I properly differentiating my content between the two? And then finally, also important to think about, what do I realistically expect to accomplish for my business on social media? This is one of the most important and toughest questions that you can answer when you're doing social for your business. Because it's also going to help you answer the question, how does this impact the way that I provide resources for social media? When it comes to the time that I'm putting in, the money that I'm spending on it, and who I'm staffing on social media. And then how am I going to show the ROI, or how do I attribute value back to social media? And some businesses have an easier time doing this than others. Some channels are easier to do this than others, both from a paid and organic standpoint. So I'm glad that you guys were able to find the campus tonight. This is sort of that weird, am I going into someone's private apartment, or am I going into a classroom environment? I taught here last year. I taught here last year, and I recently just did a workshop, a boot camp again, and every once in a while I'm here and I always think how awkwardly up close everyone is, and this is actually a larger classroom for this space, so thank you for your flexibility and patience, and we will be at the other campus on Thursday. So welcome to module 9/12, whatever we're on now. I moved this to a later session. It's not really module 9. And we didn't really learn about display advertising last time. I think we covered email marketing. So tonight we're going to learn why social media is important in digital marketing, how and why people use social media in different channels. We'll talk about some of the different platforms and channels that marketers are currently using today. We'll talk about a small handful. We can't cover every one of them, but you'll get the basics behind that. Some of the basics of effective social media posting. What makes a good post, and how do we determine that? And then, of course, we'll speak a little bit about the ROI of social media marketing and some ways that can lead you to uncovering the value for your business. So let's start out with a quick little definition here. The way we want to define it for this course is an umbrella term for web-based software or services that allow users to come together online and exchange, discuss, communicate, and participate in any form of social interaction. True or false? Question you guys. People go on social media to buy your stuff. True or false? False. So what do they go on social media for? Maybe it's cats playing piano. Maybe it's taking pictures of your food, or watching Jon Stewart, not Jon Stewart anymore, but watching them make fun of Republicans, or people posting stupid shit on Twitter. Just leave that there if anyone can read that. But in general, we use social media to help us resolve things from connection to boredom. It includes a lot of things like social interacting, passing the time, being entertained, having things to talk about, expressing yourselves and sharing your opinion on things. But none of these things are really about buying your stuff, right? So let's get some ideas from you guys on why social media, why marketers should care or participate in social media. Take 2 minutes, talk with your partner, and come up with a list of 4 or 5 reasons to why you think why marketers should care about social media. Go ahead. Try and write down 5. We might need to.
Would you consider creating relationships?
It also gives you opportunity to have like two-way conversations with fans or users. Yeah, I use
Take 1 more minute and come up with at least 2 more ideas as to why marketers should be on social media. Okay, so I want to have at least 5 reasons. We'll do by hand, so to volunteer answers. Number 1, why should a marketer care about social media? Yes.
Brand awareness.
Brand awareness. I'll leave this up if you want to take a picture of this later. What else? Yes.
Create relationship with.
What's that?
Create relationships with potential customers.
Right. Create relationships in real time. Right. What else? There's more than 2. I promise.
Influencers.
What's that?
Influencers.
Yeah, you can reach influencers while they're influencing, right? Yes.
What was this? Brand perception.
Perception. So I'm going to add this to number 1, but it's awareness and perception. Can perception be bad because of your social media activities? You respond in a way that people don't like, but if you also have opportunity to have wins. 4th reason. What else? What can you do on social media you can't do on others? Yeah.
Get insights about brands.
What's that?
Get insights about brands.
Insights. So market or customer research. Very good. Absolutely. Hear what people are saying in a space that is often public, especially if it's especially if it's in public forums. Like Facebook, for instance, is not always public, but there are a lot of social channels that are, and a lot of people do post publicly. And there's a lot of software out there that can listen and automate the process of searching for these things that people are talking about, especially if it involves a brand name or a topic that is important for your business. 1 more. We got brand awareness and perception, create relationships with people, influence, market, customer research. 1 more. How about an obvious one? People are not on there to buy your stuff, but do people sometimes go to websites and do things after they click on a site from social media? Yeah, it's a source of traffic. Every online interaction that somebody has with you is and can be a part of the customer journey, right? This is the customer decision journey is shown by Harvard Business Review. That is a loop. It's not a linear, it's not a line, it's not a linear journey that ends at a single purchase, right? The consideration and evaluation stage and then all the way to the buy or take action is usually what's thought of in the process of a customer. But there's also the advocation, the bonding, this loyalty loop that we call, where someone is continuing to be a customer through retention and refer other people to you and talk about your company and create this sort of halo effect that improves eventually improves the bottom line for your company. Social media often is part of the consideration and evaluation process, but it often comes in through the loyalty loop as well, because we talk about companies that we do business with, or that we like, or that we don't like. And social media becomes a big part of this real-time conversation. Social, or companies that use social media, do it in a lot of different ways. Sometimes companies do campaigns that are specifically done, they're specific on social media. Either they use that channel as a vehicle to accomplish their goals, or they aggregate, or they broadcast through social media. It's a piece of a larger strategy. The Starbucks, work for Starbucks, get a free education. A lot of that story about Starbucks helping people to go to school. I don't remember if it was Phoenix or I think it was Arizona State University that they were offering tuition. I think we got seats. Or the Dove Real Beauty campaign that was international, but it really got a lot of attention through Facebook and social channels. There was a viral, I think with the Australian Railroad Company, had this funny video animation, Dumb Ways to Die, that went viral and got a lot of attention. And then of course the entire Make It Happy campaign through Coca-Cola was its own social vehicle that they through all of their channels, but they have their own website dedicated to this social experience. We also want to go back to this marketing matrix that we saw before and remember where social media fits. Remember we see the prospect quality and the conversion probability, right? So we think of channels a little differently in what they do for us, at least on the offset, right? If we were to kind of segment their probability of reaching our target customers, as well as where they are in perhaps their decision to actually purchase or take action in this given moment. So we see social media usually in the top left. Why? Why would we see this in the top left? High in prospect quality potentially, but not so much in willingness to convert right now. What could be some possible? And this is just a model, by the way, but why might we classify it this way in this top left quadrant?
Well, on social media, people are trying to see what their friends are up to and everything, maybe not necessarily as.
Yeah, they're not in purchase mode necessarily. Some people will. It may be a part of the journey, but they're not necessarily ready to buy. Why would we see it on the top? Higher chance of being our target customer if they're engaging with us in that way. Yes.
Pretty strong marketing tools on social.
There are, and is someone likely to follow you if they're not at least somewhat interested in your brand?
No.
I mean, it's debatable what level of interest. It could have been something you posted that was really funny, but when they take that extra action to like or follow or favorite, then there's a pretty good indication that you've done something that they reasonably like. Otherwise, they would just share, comment, or move on, right? So let's kind of go back to your reasons, though. Additionally, brand awareness, perception, create relationship, influence, market, customer search, or just get plain old traffic. I think you guys got most of them, actually. So with market research, you can stay informed and find out what your customers think. There's plenty of software out there that's called social listening software, where you could plug in some terms or brands and find out what people are saying on different platforms that are publicly available. You can get you can get information from people online. You can literally ask them what they think about your company, or what types of products or services you should offer, or what their opinions are on things. A lot of companies find value in this, especially if they build their following. It eventually becomes free research in a way. Now you have to consider the value of that information research, kind of like how we don't put all of our eggs in focus groups necessarily, because when people go into a controlled environment, they know they're being listened to. But it may give us ideas that we hadn't thought of. Branding is, of course, important, right? You can technically improve your brand's reach by having a lot of followers, as long as they're legit followers. That's not a, hey, buy 100,000 Twitter followers for $100, which is, we've seen this company before, because see over there sharing. You can also nurture advocacy or loyalty among your most important or your most active followers, or people who like you the most, right? If you can identify who some of your best customers or most active customers are, you can have conversations with them. You can speak back and forth with them. If people are talking to a brand if people are posting to a brand that they love and on their channels, and the brand is talking back to them and having a conversation, that's a great opportunity to nurture that additional advocacy. And of course, there are influencers. In every single industry, there is someone who is influencing your target audience. So if you can figure out who those people are and somehow involve them, either by engaging with them, retweeting, sharing the things they do, starting public conversations with them, partnering with them. There's a lot of good biz dev that happens with influencers, and I'll share some examples of that later. And then, of course, good old-fashioned traffic. If you look in your Google Analytics and you can see the different channels that are sending traffic to you, you'll notice, especially if you've linked your site appropriately, where you're posting things that link back to your own content on your site, then you'll see that in your analytics, and you'll see which channels are driving the most traffic to you. And of course, if you have your goal tracking set up, you'll also be able to see which of those visits originated in or are attributed to actual conversions that are happening on your site. So that's where we can play into the ROI without even thinking about some of the paid version of social ads. Ultimately, it gives us the opportunity to feed into this positive customer relationship that we can feedback with. This idea that if we have happy customers, they're going to continue to provide feedback, provide feedback both socially and back to us. If we ask them thing of why they like us, right? If we have conversations with them, then they're going to provide feedback that allows us to create better products. This works from a constructive standpoint too. If we're listening to our customers and trying to find out what they're saying, whether it's a forum or on a Facebook page, or a response to anything we're doing in the social sphere, can allow us to create better products and services. If we do that, we're more likely to capture the momentum of people who are willing to evangelize our brand, which allows us to get more customers, and it creates this really healthy loop. This can work the other way as well. If you piss people off and you don't listen to them, or you respond negatively to them, they have an additional social impact there and can get other people to either decline you or to do that kind of social damage. Anyone think of an example where they saw something on social media from a company that was really good or just a real failure? Anything come to mind? What about any brands who have had just real customer service opportunities? There was one, I'll give one example and see if there's others. There was one that was sort of social media, but it sort of exploded a little bit on social media. It was from Netflix. Anyone heard of the story where a customer service rep was on a chat with someone on Netflix, and that person started talking as if they were a character from Star Trek, right? Now a customer service person has an opportunity. They can either just kind of ignore it, or if they're a Trekkie too, they can start talking to that person the way that they want to be spoken to. And while it wasn't on a social media channel that got some news coverage, Netflix promoted it, and people were sharing it. And it was basically this one customer service rep talking back and forth with an individual as if they were characters on the show Star Trek. And it got them a lot of like just positive PR, and they're really good. It's a great company at doing these kinds of things to surprise and delight their customers. Anyone think of an example of a time where a company really nailed it or really kind of didn't nail it on social media? Think about this. We'll come back to this. Let's first take a look at some of the examples of social platforms that we might consider when we're launching our social strategy. So people express themselves in all sorts of different ways on social media channels, from very mundane things to very important topics. Like on Twitter, I'm drinking my coffee. You can like your coffee on Facebook. On LinkedIn, your skills may include drinking coffee. And of course, if you're Google+, no one's heard of you because people aren't using it anymore. But in general, there's a few that come to mind that most companies will at least have some kind of a presence on. The first, of course, is Facebook. Anyone have not used Facebook ever? So I don't need to go into the mechanics of how it all works. The biggest things, obviously, are the newsfeed, the photo app, which is still sort of application, and the fact that you like, comment, share articles, people, tagging people, etc. We're really on there for a variety of reasons, of course. Sharing with a lot of people at once, seeing photos or videos, getting updates or comments to feed our egos, or just to be social in general, learning about the ways to help other people. There's all sorts of reasons why individuals are on there. So we also want to think about how, as a brand, we can best utilize this type of relationship or this opportunity on Facebook. One of the things that we need to remember is that people are often on there for media, for entertainment, to laugh, to express themselves. And so any types of posts that you do should really feed into the way that your target customers are doing this. So the things that your customers are looking for on Facebook. I can't give you single individual best practices because this really is going to depend on your business and what other companies like yours are really doing that's effective on there. So with Mashable and Coca-Cola and many other brands that aren't into just selling directly to consumers in a specific product, they often focus on entertainment value of some sort, or things that sort of touch your emotions in different ways. So with Mashable, they found they made a funny little animation from the author of Fight Club, a video. This is called Fight Club for Kids. Or Coca-Cola is really big, especially around Super Bowl time, about creating these. There's one seat in the back.
Yeah.
Putting things up there that draw out our emotions. So Coca-Cola is a great example of this. I think a couple years ago they did an America's Beautiful campaign around the Super Bowl. The year before, this last year, they did a campaign around building positive sentiment in the internet, anti-bullying, especially in like cyberbullying and all of that. But this really wasn't just ultimately it's to sell more cans of Coca-Cola, of course, but it's really a brand tool for them. It's to improve the sentiment of their brand among their audiences. B2B companies also have an opportunity to do this, especially if your target audience is following you and they're used to seeing stuff like this. So Marketo is a digital marketing company, basically. It's a marketing automation. And so they post a lot about events on there, right? Events that they're doing, blog articles, things that are related to social activities or content that people might find interesting. So they're getting value out of this without them saying, hey, sign up for a free demo today, we want to sell you something, right? It's not exactly what they do through these sorts of channels. AdWords, right? They do the same thing. So I follow Google AdWords, so I'll see a lot of articles that are designed to help me think about this role and specific topics that allow me to be better at that type of activity. Other brands here, Fender Guitar had partnered up with the Honest Company to come up with a sweepstakes. So giving away things, right, is it's kind of funny how many people have seen the Powerball. If you share this, we'll split our winnings with you, right? People love to take small activities if they think they're going to get something. So naturally, a sweepstakes is if you're giving away something of substantial value, is actually pretty well done on social media channels, especially on Facebook. And especially, like in this case, this was a video that was playing the dude playing guitar in what looks like a meth lab. I don't remember exactly what it was. But they had, within just a couple days, they had over like 20,000 views and, hundreds of likes and shares on it. So, and then there are the times when, yes, you can actually sell stuff. This was a gaming company, Gearbox. They made a game called Borderlands, and people who follow this gaming company are like obsessive about this game. And there's a lot of gaming companies that have that kind of audience. And something specific to this audience is that they love gear. That's why the company Loot Crate exists, because gamers love gear and knickknacks and collectibles. And so this is a kind of campaign that they could run every once in a while, or a post that they could do every once in a while, because people actually appreciate it. They don't feel like they're just being sold to all the time. Something to consider about Facebook is that the organic reach is continuing to decline. I think I mentioned this last week, where back in 2012, you could expect about 16% of your posts to actually reach your followers. Or put another way, whenever you did a post, about 16% of your audience would actually see it in their newsfeed, would actually show up. Whether or not they saw it is a different story, would actually load in their newsfeed as they're scrolling down. Now, as of now a couple years ago, that declined to about 6.5% from 16%. So a substantial decrease in that by more than half, almost 1.5 times. Big reason for this, and there was a lot of flack given to Facebook about this. Zuckerberg came out with a statement that actually I think represents it well, in that we have today, there are people who, I think I just passed my 10-year anniversary on Facebook because I got that little notice that said 10 years ago today. And over the course of 10 years, we get more friends on Facebook unless we do a purge. We follow more brands. We like and comment and share on more companies and pages on a regular basis. We spend more time on it, which means from the other perspective, a lot more things and people and posts are competing for space on your newsfeed than ever before. So even though we do see more ads, but we see substantially more, we have substantially more pages and friends and activities and posts that are competing for that space on our page. So this leads to the idea that often companies who want to maximize their benefit on platforms like Facebook usually have to go towards advertising at some point. Unless what they're putting on there is so engaging and useful to people that it has a natural share value. But oftentimes the things that we promote on Facebook and the things that we just post themselves are not always the same exact thing. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But things like content downloads, promotional offers, event signups, or posts that you want to stick around for a while. Like if you have a promotion that is going or a specific event, and you don't want to have to post it every single day to wear down your audiences, a promoted post is a great way to do that because it doesn't necessarily appear on your page's timeline itself, but it will continue to show to people. So there's use cases for posting that as well. So, questions on Facebook before I move on? I think most of you guys are at least familiar with or have seen how brands post on there. But if you have a question how to do this for your company, of course, let me know. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter for a few reasons, but I do want to mention how some brands are using this effectively. Of course, first, we want to consider how people use it, what they're using it for. Most of you guys will know that Twitter is a very popular mobile-friendly microblogging social network. If you can get more niche than that. 140 characters, and it's extremely short-lived. The half-life, as we call it, the tweet, is very short because it's very real-time. It's also very good at one-to-one outreach. Many of the best burn conversations have happened on Twitter that the rest of the world can look at and judge people from athletes to politicians. But it is very much still in our minds as a one-to-one outreach tool. Most people who are very active on Twitter happen to check and tweet several times a day, if not more. Some of the most popular influencers are saying a lot of things to their followers regularly, and people are keeping up with them and sharing and retweeting and favoriting and whatnot. So especially with influencers in different industries, there's always people who are being listened to on there. And it hasn't slowed down as quite that much. It's still pretty relevant, but you kind of have to take a targeted approach to Twitter. And many companies do. The way that they go about it is they build a list of influencers for their brand or for their industry, and they try to create relationships with them through this. There's more platforms now that you can do this with, but as long as the people who are most influential in the US space, B2C or B2B, have a lot of followers, they're tweeting and have a lot of engagement on their tweets, it's an opportunity for a brand that's associated with that industry. Most often the company will either aggregate some of their other posts onto Twitter and have shortened versions of it, but they also leverage the fact that a lot of the media can actually go on there, of course, like full pictures or videos, and I showed some examples in the 1 to 100 presentation of what some tweets look like from even a B2B company that was at a specific event. Those mini updates at events is a really popular thing that happens. A lot of companies actually use, some of the bigger companies actually use Twitter as a customer service engine. It's not appropriate for a lot of businesses, especially if you don't have, it's not a large business with a lot of media and a lot of customer service happening, but it can be really effective at helping people in real time, because not everybody wants to type in 5 or 6 numbers in order to reach a specific department by calling you up. Right? Airlines do this a lot, technology companies, very big in this with both B2C and B2B. And it's going to be very useful. Twitter cards is it's sort of the name for the types of content that you can post on there, but you can even do things like collecting email addresses directly from your tweet. But having media, graphics, videos on there can be a nice way to get a little bit more real estate in their audiences and speak. So I'm going to move directly onto LinkedIn, but I'll be happy to take questions during break on Twitter. So LinkedIn is sort of still that very different beast in the sense that not really other social networks that operate in the same way. It's the world's largest professional social network. Raise your hand if you have a LinkedIn on there. Right? If you're not, you probably should be, because 92% of recruiters look for you on LinkedIn before deciding whether or not to show you to a hiring manager, or often the hiring manager will do that. I don't think in the almost 7 years that I've been in Los Angeles that I've gotten a job or a gig or anything really without at least someone associated with that company looking me up on LinkedIn first. Which is why things like your recommendations are important, and the skills and the job titles and the job bullet points and your accomplishments are so important. It really is sort of like your online resume. It's useful, obviously, because of your resume style profile, but also because the professional groups you can be associated with, and the recruiting and job search functionality of your premium member. And they have a special version dedicated for recruiters, and they give them specific tools that you can use for outreach and whatnot. So has anyone actually been recruited for a job through LinkedIn before? A few people? Yeah. Definitely. So all 500 of the Fortune 500s use it, and about 300 million probably now, 350 now probably are actively using LinkedIn. If you ask people why they're on LinkedIn, 73% are on there networking with other professionals. 70% fostering their identity as a professional. A lot of ways you can do that, especially now because everyone can publish. And 2 out of 3 use it for business purposes, like keeping up with industry news or getting better at their professional role, right? So naturally, if we were to answer the question, why is our target audience on, right? We can then say, what types of things should I post on there? If I know that people are on there fostering professional identity, doing things that are professional in nature, getting better at their jobs, stuff like that, then some of the best content, of course, is posting things that are helpful for people's careers or enhances their knowledge in the workplace. I know you're going to say, well, not every company does that, and we'll get to that. But people also care about updates for your company, right? It's sort of the place where you can play a little bit, but this is a spot where you're trying to garner respect and authority as a brand. So a couple companies that do this, Cornerstone On Demand, just down the street here, how millennials are breaching norms at work and home. This is basically like an HR, an enterprise level HR and productivity and type of software, basically. And they do a whole bunch of other stuff. They're learning software, etc. And then Infusionsoft, one of those marketing automation software, how to automatically and effortlessly convert new leads into paying customers. And so these are basically things that are either educating people in the workplace or helping them to do their job better. Both of these are basically content marketing pieces. But there's a lot of brands that are not trying to do this and don't really have the ability to on LinkedIn, but are still active on LinkedIn. Like Nike's post about the top 5 CEOs according to their employees in Time Magazine, reposted this article where the Nike president and CEO was the 2015 Employee Choice Award winner as number 2 CEO in the United States. It's a very appropriate thing to have on LinkedIn because you're doing something that gains respect for your brand. Now, there's a lot of people who follow Nike on LinkedIn even though they're not trying to sell to them, right, directly. So that's a branding opportunity in professional environments. And then, of course, Starbucks hires nearly 1,200 military spouses. And this is a great place to put some of the good PR that they're working on here as well, because again, it garners respect. And it's related to a professional topic, hiring military spouses. So little tips and tricks that actually sort of apply to everything, to all types of social content, including a link will often drive more engagement in, especially if it's to your own content. If you have an opportunity to get your own content onto social platforms, especially if it's appropriate, in this case like LinkedIn, drives twice as the engagement. So the likes, the comments, the shares, and of course the traffic to your site. Content in general, and I don't mean just on LinkedIn, but content in general that has media and specifically images is often twice as likely to also be have whatever result you're looking for, so like, comment, and share. First off, you've got a lot more real estate that you're working with because your images take up more space as opposed to just a single post. And then, of course, they say that links to YouTube videos that play directly in the feed have about 75% higher share rate. So you're getting this idea that when I use media and when I use links, I'm not just writing something in the comments, or writing something that's just text in a post, it's going to do a lot better. So, with the exception of Google Plus here, whose value is still undetermined in 2016 and may be gone, but every platform is going to have its own advantages and disadvantages. And most of the time, you're not going to be using all of them. Well, you can't. You won't ever be using all of them. But most of the time, you're going to have your own combination of just a small handful. Especially considering you don't have unlimited resources to work to try and find every platform. And there are some times when you're just thinking about using one of them, and it's just not going to have the traction that it will. Oftentimes, I get this question: which ones should I use? Should I use the set of 8? And I say, well, is this set of 8, are your target audiences in every single one of these? Are they doing things that you can get in the conversation for very authentically? So other sites that you may consider, of course. And we'll after a break, we'll do a talk on Pinterest. Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, SlideShare. These media sharing sites are really good, of course, for content distribution in different ways in media distribution. They may inspire ideas for things that people like and they like in their business. They're also go on the fact that people like to play on these types of sites. They like to browse around. Like if you're on Pinterest, you're pinning things. If on YouTube, you're watching videos that entertain you or help you to do something, right? So in these cases, it's all about really finding out the way that your target audiences like to play or engage with the things that they're being entertained by, or helping them in their life or business, and sort of jumping on that train. We often forget about reviews and rating sites as a form of social media, but in a way they really are, like Glassdoor, Amazon if you're selling products, and Amazon is a channel partner of yours, eOpinions, Yelp, a lot of sites that give us the opportunity to get those 4 or 5 stars and really have some social proof related to our business. Social proof is a very important concept that's often forgot about until either it's really good for you or it's really bad for you, right? If when someone types in the brand name, they're seeing 1 or 2 stars showing up for things, that can be a real problem, and that could be absolutely costing customers. On the flip side, if people are finding 4 and 5 star reviews about your company in different ways, that one little signal is going to influence your perception of your brand. So getting behind these and figuring out how can I make a difference
whether through my customer service or the way that I engage with people or follow up with people. And all the different things that affect our reviews online has an impact. Yes.
Are the reviews online, aren't they very easy to manipulate? And
I'm a big believer in ethical marketing, so I try not to lead people in the direction of too much manipulation, but there are ways of manipulating, yes. And I think it really should be, well, put it this way, if a company is naturally really good about its products, its services, it's really good at making people happy, you probably don't have to work that hard to manipulate reviews. If your company is not delivering exceptional value and exceptional customer service, right, then you have to probably do a little bit more manipulation. Now, there's always those opportunities where you could pay to try and get those early reviews, but I like to think about review marketing as something, if I want to sustain a long-term, sustained, good, positive reviews, people who are actually talking about my company in a positive manner, then I want to influence those other people that actually do that themselves, not have to go and buy a company that can do that or pay a company to do that. And my understanding, and I don't engage in this practice, I don't know anyone who engaged in it. My understanding, though, is that more of the platforms are taking measures to prevent it. Google, for instance, there's a list of sites that it considers as valid, or there's like 100 different sites that if you want to, it'll pull reviews from a bunch of sites that it trusts as valid reviews. But I suppose that's a topic for debate, not the capability of working with people. My point is, be a great company, provide exceptional service to your customers, and that won't be as big of an issue. So, forums, excellent thing to listen to. When we're talking about social listening, right? We often forget about forums as an important place for us to think about things. Almost every topic ever, any industry, product, service, has places on the internet that people are talking about. So I'm not saying to go on that site and post and get into conversations, because oftentimes forums frown on brands going in there and trying to sell and engage with people and have conversations and defend themselves because they want to be truly organic. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be paying attention to these. You can use Google Alerts and other tools and social listening tools to search the internet and look for things that people are saying on these types of sites. Oftentimes, this can help you to improve your product or services, find out what people are looking for. Even if you're a software company, there are probably people out there who really want a specific feature that will really help to elevate you from your competitors, but maybe internally you haven't thought about that. But if 20 people are posting about it on a forum, this might be something that you want to start looking into, right? Or if people have had really bad customer service experiences, that can be amazing. So there's something to consider on here, and like Reddit, of course, good example for it. And then finally, although not final, but blogs, of course. Your blog is essentially your own social media platform, in a way, if you allow commenting. But really, it's something that is not necessarily the place where you're selling your products or services immediately. Right? You're posting things that I think we've covered content marketing yet. When we get to, have we covered content marketing yet? With all that, that'd be great. Okay, so that's our next section on Thursday. We'll talk a little bit about the value of a blog, but of course, it's a great place to build authority for your brand, to get followers to come back to your site, especially if you're not updating content on your site on a regular basis. If you're an e-commerce site, people have a reason to be coming back. If you're selling software or a subscription service, you may not have something that's driving people back to your site, and your blog can really be a great opportunity to get those returning visitors, especially if they haven't become your customers yet. You begin to nurture new audiences who are in that consideration and evaluation phase of the customer loyalty relationship that you have. And you can get great exposure. If your blog article, post is really interesting, you can get a lot of attention. If it's picked up by a specific outlet or an influencer who it's an opportunity for you to get that kind of coverage. Companies use a lot of tools in formulates like boards as a PR within news, but also used to educate people on topics that are related, or entertain people on topics that are related to business. So,
Are you ready to go, or do you want to take a break first?
okay, so we're gonna take a 10-minute break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk a little about Pinterest and go into an activity about your favorite brands and what they do on social media. So I'll come back in about 10.
Yeah. This is like actually maybe it's the very last one. Okay, so I'm starting on it. Okay, you got 8 minutes. You caught. Visual. As opposed to a site. Directions in the top categories, so you can do yourself. So, keep on each of which are it's a season style. You know what I'm doing? That should be first. That should be first. Okay. Yeah. So it's yeah. This is going into actually pasted descriptions. Using this the reason is about 70%.
Yeah.
Social media websites, especially.
No, I haven't.
It's about twice.
Yeah.
Some people are so again, jumping into my interest is so valuable. Now as you can see, result from this art, some correlation
itself, as opposed to Google, where it's only going to pay suggestions
Which is a good thing.
based on uploaded searches for this. So allows you, gives you a scope into how you search.
Right now? Excuse me for a
That's
minute.
so-
Don't trip over this thing.
It's a little warm hot,
Anything
yeah.
we can do, cause I'm like
Maybe, yeah.
sweating.
I'll go out for that in a minute, turn it down.
This is why. Also has rich content which will move into page forms. Page as a free, you have to apply for certain page. The person's inside useful information. That's all I can do is pre-class numbers, pre-class numbers, more than time. So, onto a board also accounts for this fact, traffic is using one movies and articles of Massachusetts. So when you have a state of quality interest. Contribution, which does which CI description because my membership is quality subjects as well as within its own searching call to action, which call to action is within search form better than 80%. And as well, I think things that we do allow for better communication of frustrating descriptions, design ratios, but effective changes, increasing interest. Trying to spend a little like 30 seconds. The slides, so they don't really watch us reading and everything. 2 minutes, let's go ahead and plug in. Okay. How are you in Southern?
There are ice creams down there. I forgot to mention that.
So I want to be said about Facebook groups that are promoted wrong language.
Yeah.
People's feeds don't have the bunch of content.
Correct. So there's two ways you can do it. You can sponsor an existing post on your page.
Yeah, that's how we use it, right?
Yep, reduce that post.
Okay.
Or when you go into Facebook Ad Manager, which is a different, which is separate applications in your, you have to have a separate, you have to go in and actually sort of create your account there. But when you go into Facebook Ad Manager, you can create an ad that never actually shows up in your Facebook ad, but will show up to people that you target. If you run it,
That shows up in there.
well, it sort of,
Looks different.
not necessarily. So, you can use, create an ad in Facebook Ad Manager. It is structured similarly to the campaigns you build in AdWords. There's a campaign level, there's a targeting level, there's the ad level. And you can target people that are your followers. So you can target a bunch of other people based on lots of other criteria. It's all about it. And unless you start it out, unless you boost a post, it's not something that's an existing post on your page. It's not something that already exists. It will go to people on their news feeds. But it will say sponsor. Okay. All that was a sponsor that was created in the ad.
And that's the other way to do it.
And but you still do that in the ad manager. The sidebar and the news feed and now Instagram posts, Instagram ads are controlled through the ad manager.
The only thing I've done is boost that post.
You an ad manager?
I don't know if anything.
No, so you start with free,
Oh,
and then it'll start.
then it goes. Okay.
It'll start you with a campaign.
Okay, so, like the booster post, I'm gonna know. Okay, and that's the outside.
Great.
Let me ask you, for working in Sunday, you have to do everything else before.
Basically. You create your first ad and you do the, and you're targeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess for public page, no, some people do websites, probably.
It depends. If you have, the way that Facebook auto optimizes itself has to do with how you select this. And so if you just want, if you have an existing post, of course, you can use that post. If you're promoting your page, it would need to be promoting your Facebook page. Sending people to your website is good if you just want to get a lot of traffic at the lowest cost, but you don't have a lot of specific conversion. If you're trying to measure conversion rate, like I want to get a lot of leads from my site, or sales, or I want them to download this free conversions is good to shoot because it automates the reports to show you conversions. And you can build your reports in all different ways outside of that, but according to Facebook, they're optimizing your campaigns and showing it, more likely to show it to people who are more likely to convert if you choose conversions. But your website traffic. Yeah, there's, you should have said send people to my website, then you're telling Facebook, I want you to optimize it to get the best deal when sending people to my website. I want to show it to people. Yeah, like I want to get traffic at the lowest cost, basically. Like I bet $100, get me the most people to my website for $100. Yeah. Well, it's sort of like, I mean, the sort of black box algorithm you find it. It's sort of like on Facebook. I want you to get me the best deal on conversion versus I want you to get me the best deal on just sending people on the site. If you say this, the latter, then the system is not going to pay attention to the conversion steps. So it only really makes a big difference when you have a lot of conversions on your site.
Facebook, it's not just me on my website, where
Yeah. Remember how AdWords has conversion pixel? Facebook has stuff too. Yep. Facebook. Huh? I just recently started using that more. That was fantastic. The Facebook Power Editor. I was actually in the Facebook admin. You can say use the Power Editor. You make a bunch of changes and you have to upload them all at once. But it's great. You know, otherwise it's just a big I don't want to do it.
No,
You mentioned both.
there's money. Who's this money? Who's this money?
You almost ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hey, how do you do notes? How do you have like presentation notes as well?
Are you doing PowerPoint?
Yeah. So I just go
As
to-
soon as you plug it in and you hit play, it'll put it in presentation mode automatically.
Oh, really?
Go ahead and play. See, there you go.
Yeah.
So you can drag that down. So
to be smaller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this gray area, if you want to see your slides better, you can drag it down. See? Okay. But that's as large as it's going to be for you. That's
It's also another reason I can't read off the slides.
I helped on around there.
So, Professor, okay, so Jonathan's going to talk a little bit about one of the another social platform. We just added Pinterest to our talk on social media. So he's going to take it away, and then we're going to move on to an activity in about 10 minutes.
Cool. So, how many of y'all are active on Pinterest? At least once a day, and once a month. All right, cool. And how many of you have never used Pinterest at all?
I've heard the word.
I've heard the word. Okay, great. So, it's not like the most popular platform, doesn't have the largest user base, but it is a very effective platform for marketers if used correctly. Now, for those of you who've never seen Pinterest, this is basically what it looks like on the front end of a brand's page. So you can see all of the boards they have, and they can be related to anything from something seasonal or, you know, whatever category they really want to dive into. This is, for example, one of their top pins, for example, the second board. Once we go into pins, we see different items, different products with heavy descriptions, and which we'll get further into. So a really quick overview of Pinterest itself. It has 100 million users currently, active users, 80% of which are female and 80% of which are accessing the site through mobile. So that already gives you an idea of how people are using this, this platform. There's about 500,000 businesses on the platform at the moment, a third of Fortune 500 companies, but only 5% of US small businesses. So that right there lets you know there's a big window for visibility on this platform, especially because, you know, the user base is, you know, so much lower than Facebook's 1.5 billion. There's about 50 billion pins right now, 5 billion of which, or almost 6, are related to food, and 300 related to fashion. So you can see, you know, who are the top players in this. Those are that are in fashion, crafts, food, and home decor. User growth. So although females are the largest user group, males are growing very fast, 75% of which just started using the platform last year. Hispanic membership comprises about 14% of daily active users, and 60% of international users, or 60% of growth is attributed to international users. So how are people pinning, you know, why are they pinning? What are they engaging with? Or, I mean, what are, for what reason are they using the channel itself or the platform? Mainly discovery, sharing. 2 million pins are shared daily between pinners. 80% of those are repins, and those planning to buy. It's also replacing a lot of activities currently in terms of browsing catalogs, surfing the internet. A lot of people are becoming a lot more loyal to the platform once they see how easy and visual it is and informative. So why is it so valuable? Pinterest has a very high intent, simply because people search for products. They don't search for social statuses. And much more than a social network, it's more of a, more closely related to Google in that it takes keyword relevance and applies it in a way that not only searches for what you're looking for, but what you're looking for and how it's being used at that time, whether it's a season or whether it's you know, a trend, as opposed to Google, where you're going in and searching boots, and you know, you come up with a color or a gender. The ad platform itself is very very potent, as the engagement rates for promoted pins are about 2 to 5% higher than on other social media platforms. And brand awareness, people aren't afraid to associate with brands on Pinterest, not like other social media platforms where you see an ad, you typically ignore it. Here, these are the people that are actually creating the trends, creating, the new styles. So people are crazy about following brands. Conversions, simply put, the average order value for sales that are not directly associated with Pinterest, but the sales of items whose interest originated on Pinterest is a lot higher than any other social media platform. Also, engagement, about 2 page views and 6 2 page visits and 6 page views per pin. Here's a visual of the keyword guided search, and you'll see how that compares to Google. Like I was saying before, in the search itself, it gives us the options to select what's in trend, right? As opposed to only giving me a year and a color or a gender. Promoted pins. So these are the paid ads, and they serve many purposes: awareness, engagement, and traffic as well. And they're very organic. Can you really tell which one is a promoted pin here? It's very difficult to tell. This is it.
How are you telling?
At the bottom, at the very bottom of the pin, you can see it says "promoted by Shine," and so it has a very organic feel to it. So people are actually not afraid to engage with promoted pins as they are on other social platforms. This is basically what a promoted pin looks like, just like any other normal pin. So how do you enhance your use of the platform itself? And it's really through quality content. So one of the tools that Pinterest provides you to be able to do this are rich pins. And through rich pins, we're able to basically apply all of the metadata that's on a page and apply it to a pin itself, to where the pin is automatically updated for useful information. When there is a price decrease on your product, it notifies whoever has pinned it on their board. So free price alerts, and this is at no cost to you. You might require a developer because it does require them to use some light code, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. So the 6 types of rich pins that are available can be on apps, articles, movies, places, products, and recipes. Here's an example of movies, recipes, and articles. And so you see the amount of information that's displayed is a lot higher than in your typical pin, which people are engaging with more. Pins with prices get about 36% more engagement, as well as pins with recipes about 42% more. So the anatomy of a good pin. How do you master the pin, right? Obviously, high quality images. I can't stress that enough. It's a visual platform, of course.
Sorry, when you say high quality image, what does that mean to you?
High resolution. Also lighter images as opposed to darker images. Lighter images have a lot more engagement rates. Just a clear image, right? Directly related to the keywords that it's related to, because people are researching these keywords, and that's where we move into a description of the picture itself and the accompanying text. Rich in keyword value, and a call to action. Pins with calls to action tend to have 80% more or higher engagement rates as well, and click-through rates. Again, if you're able to apply rich pins to your pins, then do so. It's free, and it's very valuable.
So how do you feel about that?
Rich pins. So for rich pins, you'd actually have to have a business account, and you actually apply for it within the website. You send a request to them, they allow you to do so, and in doing so, your developer would basically transfer the metadata of the page to like the pin itself. Or it wouldn't even have to be for each pin, it would be done automatically. So every time you pin something from your page, once your page already has that code in it, then it basically carries it over into Pinterest. So that's why it automatically updates pricing. Now this is a very, this is like an ideal pin. So we see like it's light, there's no showing of faces, which has been proven to perform better. No faces, or because people envision themselves in the clothing, right? We see the logo itself. We see it's a legitimate company. The title itself is very relevant to what we're looking for and to the image itself. The description within it is not only about the dress itself, but different products in the picture as well.
Would this be something like a Instagram post where you try to hashtag like almost anything that's related or relevant to the image, or do you try to just stick to like simple, easy to understand?
The thing is with the descriptions, with a longer description, you're going to distort the board itself because it's going to show a lot more of a description. You want to throw in as much as you can that's relevant. And outside of that, you do want to limit yourself. I'm not sure if there's any character limitations on the descriptions themselves, but if you carry that, if it's a rich pin, for example, that helps you because it's not displaying so much of the data, but it carries it in the actual pin, right? With the description itself, again, it's going to affect the visual quality of the post, of the pin. If you have too much wording, it's going to seem spammy. So, keep it short, I would say, keep it simple, but also not too short. Some effective campaigns. Adore Me, I don't know if you've heard of Adore Me, it's a lingerie line. They wanted to find how they could engage with their millennial traffic or audience better. And so, my battery's about to die, actually. No. It's a different deck. I'll upload it. Absolutely. So as you can see, I'll go through the campaign itself actually, and this is how basically they revamped their page to be to have different subsections within it to address seasons, to address feelings and emotions. These are the kind of posts they were putting out. Again, very light, high quality, descriptive, and again, the imagery, even in the brand itself, be sure to use, not faces, but logos. The insights they gain from this, again, people prefer pins with no faces. Most of the engagement that they got, because it is a subscription-based service, was because they used imagery that explained the process of of the subscription, of the business model. The seasonal campaigns they were running 2 months before, ahead of time. And as you can see, their cost per acquisition diminished significantly, 10 to 15% compared to other advertising channels. Zola, same thing. I mean, just to go over it really quickly, again, here's their board. You can see very high quality. Conversion rates were increased by about 44% with this campaign, and a 50% increase in click-through rates just by using relevant keywords when it came to weddings and searching for weddings. They wanted ultimately for fiancés to search together for wedding, arrangements, and did so by really targeting them through relevant keywords. So again, the significance of keywords is huge on Pinterest.
What's NPP?
Marketing developer program with Pinterest. So yeah, so within Pinterest they have their marketing partners that are pre-approved to work with companies on or brands on Pinterest, so they can actually create the content for you and make sure that it is high quality content for promoted pins specifically.
Is there any reason you might not want to, my business has a personal Pinterest page with and others as well in it? Is there any reason not to convert it to a business page, Pinterest for business page?
I wouldn't say, well, actually, I'm getting to that now. So, should I be on Pinterest, right? And so, do you have enough content to stay active? Because if you don't, it's only going to hurt you. No one's, people will visit your page and then ultimately lose interest in it if you don't have enough content. Do you have high quality visual content, which as a photographer, I'm sure you do, but can you constantly put it out?
If I'm already creating it through other channels, and obviously we customize the Pinterest a little bit with call to action, image dimensions and things like that get content. Or we're staring at the convert to business button.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to make sure there's no reason not to click it. There's no going back.
There's no going back. Yeah, no, I mean, unless.
Do you lose anything going to a business page?
Not that I know of. No, not that I know of. You only gain access to the tools, and which is huge. I mean, if you can provide rich, pins and provide that metadata from the originating website, that's huge. So really quickly, just effective takeaways, from this is, if you're going to be using Pinterest, remember to use high quality content, keyword optimization, I can't stress enough, and taking advantage of the tools that they provide, which are free. I mean, aside from promoted pins, buyable pins is another one. If you're using Shopify, I believe you can. And Demandware, yeah, you can actually buy directly from Pinterest, and it'll open up. It's opening up to more platforms as we speak. Buyable pins, rich pins, and making sure that your website has the follow and pin buttons within it. So that's Pinterest for you. Just tools and resources and some sources, and I'll be uploading this on the site later.
So, did you guys get an email from me just now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I sent out a quick survey. If you wouldn't mind at some point, it only takes a few minutes. It's confidential. I don't ask for your email address to share on how you like that with you. Can I put a little more slack on that? You want to put your thing out real quick? There we go. Okay, thanks. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick activity now. What I would like to see you guys do is you're going to try and cluster up in like whatever quadrant of 4 is around you, and within because I want to give almost every group a chance to present. So quadrant up into like 4, 3, maybe 5 people, whatever is comfortable for you. What you're gonna do after your hellos and my name is, if you forgot my name. Choose someone, just pick someone's industry that does a lot of social media. And whatever your favorite brand or the brand that you admire in your industry, that's company number 1. Just one person in your group, you should choose a company in the industry. You should also choose a second company, and that's going to be someone in the group's favorite brand that is also on social media. You don't have to work in that industry, it's just your favorite brand in general. So your goal, once you've chosen these 2 companies, and you can have a couple people do the industry one, a couple people do the just your favorite brand in general. What you're looking for is the different social media platforms that those 2 companies are on.
What you're looking for is how they differentiate themselves on social media and what they do on there that you think is relatively effective. And make an assessment. Do you think it's effective? Do you think that the things that they're doing on Pinterest versus Facebook versus Twitter are an effective differentiation of how they're changing their content for the platforms? Now remember, think about why is their audience on social media, or maybe you could guess why their audience is on social media, what those people are doing, and has that company effectively addressed those concerns when they're going to market, so to speak, about what they're saying, what they're posting, what they're sharing. And you can see, from a very public view, if people are actually engaging with it. There are certain things that are going to get more engaged with them, more likes, comments, shares, etc., more favorites. So each team is going to present one example, either one of the two companies that you go with. So group up, take no more than just 2 or 3 minutes to figure out which of the 2 companies you're going to do. One industry related for someone in your group, and also just someone's favorite brand in general. So go ahead and we'll present in about 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
We don't open the door yet. They opened the windows already. They have no control over that.
I know. Oh, here we go.
My project also
We could talk about it. I think ours
So you would be.